The Chronicles of Narnia, Lord of the Rings, Aragon, Harry Potter, Percy Jackson. All amazing examples of fantasy literature. I've read most of these and understand, to a good degree, their stories and why everyone loves them. I myself am in the process of writing a fantasy novel, and these are my inspiration. However, these are not very recent releases. I feel like if I could sum up 2000s fantasy, particularly the later ones, and what is a bit more popular today and still running, I would probably choose, out of all the series, Warriors by Aaron Hunter, Wings of Fire by Tweety Sutherland, and The Land of Stories by Chris Colfer. Now, if you were in school during the mid-2000s to 2020s, you know about these books. For me, these were the big 3 novels that I read in school and still enjoy to this day. I think that these series don't get enough credit, and should get movies and more merchandise, like action figures, so I can have Ghibli and Ravenpaul in the multiverse genus, but that is besides the point. It is possible. I mean, look at Dogman. Got a movie just now. Another masterpiece of a series by the absolute GOAT, Dav Pilkey. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I will have to cover it in another video. I know some of you in the comments are going to be going, actually, Percy Jackson released in 2005, and the Inheritance Cycle came out in 2002, so why weren't you covering them? Why? Because Aragon isn't necessarily teen literature. It's huge. Not that it takes forever to read. It's just perhaps intended for a more mature audience, though I have a friend who read it in a weekend, but that's besides the point. It's speed reading. I can't do that. Besides the point. And on top of that, I haven't really read it, and it isn't really as relevant today in schools, I don't think. As for Percy Jackson, I just don't enjoy it. I understand why people like it, but it's just not my thing. I only read up until the middle of book 3 and dropped it. I can't give an accurate description and still give it enough credit. It also has a TV show and some terrible movies, but long story short, all of these movies, these could be movies, if some studio showed enough interest. But now that's out of the way, let us begin a deep dive into why I think that these are peak. Part 1. Warriors. Warriors is about a group of 4 clans of cats. Thunder Clan, Shadow Clan, River Clan, and Wind Clan. It's kind of like Hogwarts houses, where one is the good guys, one is deemed evil unnecessarily, and the other 2 don't do much of anything except be plot devices. So these clans of savage cats don't like each other for some strange reason, and they fight. They also have some afterlife systematic code that's never outright stated until way later, which is very confusing for me reading it initially. For the first 4 arcs, our relatively main reoccurring character is Fireheart. He's a house cat, initially under the name of Rusty, who joins ThunderClan. He and his friends, Greystripe, Sandstorm, and others, save the forest from evil. Arc 2 follows Brambleclaw and his friends, and Arcs 3 and 4 are about Lionblaze, Hollyleaf, and Jayfeather. One more is important, but I'm not going to spoil too much of anything. We also have even more arcs about cats slowly becoming less cynical and racist towards each other and working together, which is, it's really interesting to see how they've got from despising everyone to forming a somewhat mutual respect towards each other. We're currently starting the 9th arc as of now. I can't remember this name. I'm just going to show it on screen now. The Warriors was released in 2003 and is still printing out new books to this day. I have read all of them, except for the final book of the previous arc. My library. Again, besides the point. I kind of knew that it existed, but I wasn't exactly drawn to it. But then I decided, what the actual heck? It's obviously very popular. I might as well try. So I signed out a copy of Into the Wild from my local library, and oh my goodness! Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Loved. Loved it. The characters were all relatable despite being anthropomorphic cats, which I'm more of a dog person, and I haven't read this. I know this is a Survivor series by the same author, but it's besides the point. Yeah, plot line was very interesting, and themes of doing the right thing and seeing through our prejudices against one another was really incredible. My friend began to read them too, and as it turned out, it was the Unwanteds, I think, that he was reading. I still don't care about the Unwanteds. I powered through arcs 1 to 4, so immersed. I remember the build up to the battle scene, the last hope. Last hope, yes, I got it right. The last hope at the pool, because I was waiting for someone to get out of there. I was trying not to get the pages wet, and I was just fanning out over it all. It was so exciting. If you've read the book, you know what I'm looking at. I view Omen of the Stars arc as the end of the True Warrior series. Arc 5, we had a soft reboot, a new cast and plot. I still enjoy them, but they don't hit as hard for me or have the same emotional attachment. Really, it's just... Another thing I have to mention about these books is how dark they are. I mean, it's literally about cats trying to kill each other. Characters get murdered, maimed, disfigured, possessed, die during childbirth, graphically disemboweled. Main characters in books deal with stuff like racism and forbidden love. Oh yeah, this stuff is crazy. I still enjoy it, and I am hoping for a movie one day, though like in 2016, a film studio scooped up the rights, so I really don't know how long this is taking, but apparently it's in development. Nothing official yet, just speculation. Warriors is actually one of the longest book series I've ever read. I think it's like but it is this number of books long, including super editions, not graphic novels and manga. It is probably one of my favorites, and if any series is going down in history, it's gonna be this one. Part 2. Wings of Fire. Wings of Fire is about tribes of dragons locked in a war. Where have we seen this before? Oh my, I never could guess. Could it be that the author of these books is part of the Aaron Hunter team that writes the Warriors books? I don't know. Humans are called scavengers, and we have arena fights, trauma, some really messed up characters, all that good stuff. There are 3 arcs, as of now, with a 4th one well on the way. As far as I can tell from a bunch of various YouTubers. These are my resources, people. Each arc revolves around a prophecy and contains 5 books. Each book is told from a particular character's perspective, and we get to see their internal struggles, thoughts, and development. There are also 2 oversized standalone Legends novels. One really good, one really bad. There's a prophecy in beginning, arc 1, there's a prophecy that 5 dragons, that's dragonettes, baby dragons, babies, yes. Why did I say that? We'll say everyone. Arc 1 kicks off with our protagonists, the Dragonettes of Destiny, Clay, Tsunami, Glory, Starflight, and Sunny, on their quest to stop the war peacefully and their own way. They deal with predestined fate and writing their own story. Really quite interesting. It's also incredibly crazy as to how because we all know it's gonna end, how they managed to do that. Their method to solving it is by pure chance. It worked. It's just so stupid that it actually worked. I don't know. Besides the point, ladies and gentlemen. So Arc 2, my personal favorite of the arcs, deals with the students in a cross-tribe school called Jade Mountain Academy, started by the previously mentioned characters. After the war ends, again, big surprise. Our main characters here, not all of them actually get a book. Kinkajou is the one left out. But our other main character is part of the Jade Winglet. Winglet is essentially a class. You have Moonwatcher, Winter, Peril, Turtle, Kibbley, my boy, and then Kinkajou. Story revolves around them dealing with an ancient magic dragon named Darkstalker. Yes. We have themes of morality, and of the morality of mind reading, and all that juicy stuff like premonition, the cost of magic, and how it should be used. This is definitely, again, my favorite arc, because we have my top two, my favorite characters. Pretty much all of my favorite characters in here get a book. My boy, Kibbley, and my other boy, Turtle. My third favorite is Deathbringer, don't judge. And then my fourth one, is Darkstalker. Yes, we also get the best book in the entire series, standalone Legends novel, Darkstalker, telling the story of the titular character and his origin and fall. Arc 3 takes us to a new continent with new tribes. It's an interesting story about systemic abuse and corruption and various statuses and social classes. We also get an all-star team assembled at the end of book 14, like Kibbley, Moon, Tsunami, Lynx. For the final book, everyone's so excited, and then everyone gets captured in the first few chapters. Seriously, Twee? Never mind. Moving on, our new characters are Blue, Cricket, Sundew, Luna, and Swordtail. We also get a book about the new Icewind Queen, Snowfall, who sort of takes up Swordtail's, but probably would have been Swordtail's book. And it's actually quite interesting for what it is, I'd say. Book 14 has a lot of interesting depth to it. Very nice. The whole arc also ties in with another Legends book, the worst one, I think, Dragon Slayer, which is an alternate, which, like Legends, there's no real scale. You have a really good one, a really bad one. Maybe if we get a third one for the next fourth arc. Who knows? Yeah, Dragon Slayer deals with a bunch of the humans and them interacting with dragons and their side of the story. We're currently waiting on book 16, but they're making a bunch of graphic novels for the books. We've gotten through Arc 1, and we're in the middle of Arc 2 right now. Found a bunch of big community of WoF fans, created my own OC, Mako, who I bend the plot to fit him in. Gonna be like Deadpool, Secret Wars, no one remembers who's there, but it really was there. And never mind. I do, however, admire the themes and overall maturity of the series. It deals with very complex themes like free will versus fate, and a strong pacifist moral and lens to it, where they try and solve everything peacefully, which to some degree is admirable since the previous one that I talked about was very all about violence. Trying to go about it peacefully is quite interesting to see. So stark contrast to Warriors. Where, like, Warriors, where they go and murder someone, and then only a few people ever try and talk it out. I wonder how, there's definitely a lot of things the Warriors could learn from the Wings of Fire characters. I wonder if there'll be a crossover in the future. Unlikely, but that's just me. Only in fan fictions. We are supposed to be getting a TV show on Prime, about Wings of Fire, an adaptation. We don't know much about it, other than that Netflix was going to make one, but then it was canceled. And then the GOAT, Tweety Sutherland, soldiered on like an absolute champ and had Prime pick it up, probably because they saw the intense marketability of it. And hopefully, so now my hope is for a Ghibli action figure that I can use on the channel, and he could be marketed and used on it for all the interesting character moments, and I will not have to pay an insane amount of money for a 3D sculpted one on Etsy. Precious. I'm sorry, what was that? Wings of Fire is a classic story and continues to be a fan favorite to this day. I have immense respect for Tweety Sutherland, and I really hope we get more content very soon in the future. Part 3. The Land of Stories. The Land of Stories is the black sheep among these books. It only has 6 books in the main title, stark contrast to the this number of books in Warriors, or the longevity of the Wings of Fire. I think it's part of the brilliance that it stopped while things were amazing, sort of like Seinfeld did, not letting it fade into obscurity. Land of Stories is about a set of twins, Alex and Connor Bailey, who journey into a realm where fairy tales are real. This happens via a magic storybook. Get with the program, people. You have an outlaw Goldilocks, Queen Red Riding Hood, Mother Goose who rides on a giant goose and she's high most of the time, I'm fairly certain. And there's a creepy troll girl whom I despise. Not going to spoil anything, but things get really crazy. I mean, traveling into classic literature books to recruit heroes to help them fight a bad guy with a bag on his head. Crazy stuff. The wishing spell revolves around Alex and Connor trying to get back home via the wishing spell, an ancient spell. That is it. If you collect a certain amount of items, you can make one wish. Anything. The Enchantress Turns is book 2, where the twins must return and stop the Enchantress, from Sleeping Beauty. Not Maleficent. That was completely Disney. Disney changed a lot of things. But that's besides the point as well. A grim warning revolving around an attempt to return to the world, and which takes place in Germany, when a trapped army that has been in a portal for hundreds of years is released upon the magic world. I don't know what it's called, actually. Beyond the Kingdoms, where they travel to different classic stories, Alice in Wonderland, King Arthur, Peter Pan, all that, Robin Hood, all that stuff. An Author's Odyssey, where they must recruit characters from Connor's stories and deal with the Bagman. If you understand that reference, you're cool. And then Worlds Collide, the big finale, which ends pretty perfectly. It was followed with a 3-part prequel series revolving around the origins of the fairy godmother and all the other fairies. These are titles as such: A Tale of Magic, A Tale of Witchcraft, and A Tale of Sorcery. It also had some small little filler books, Mother Goose Diaries and Queen Red Riding Hood's Guide to Royalty, all that stuff. It's more of lore filling, but it's pretty interesting. They also released a fairy tale book, like a compilation of such, based on the style of the book that they were transported in the book. Part of the sheer brilliance of Land of Stories is how it weaves everything into a very seamless narrative. it gives all these fairy tales a shared timeline, which makes a lot of sense, like having Prince Charming from Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and Cinderella all be brothers. 3 charming brothers. The reason that Brother 1 and Brother 2 were in such outlandish places when they found their princesses is because they were searching for their missing 4th brother. During their quest, Charming 1 and Charming 2 finds Sleeping Beauty and Snow White. Since there are no eligible girls left for Charming 3 to marry, he hosted a ball where he met Cinderella. This is just one example of Chris Colfer using clever loopholes and plot play in order to weave all of these various fairy tale stories that would otherwise be completely different from each other into one narrative. Another great one revolved around Jack and Goldilocks and Red Riding Hood, but that's a big plot point, ain't gonna spoil it. We got a lot of relatable human characters, like Alex, Connor, Bree, and Emmerich. I haven't read the books in a while. I think that's his name. Whatever. As well as fan-favorite fairy tale characters, which were only shared the name with their fairy tale counterpart and are almost completely different. Like Froggy, probably one of my favorite characters in the series. I mean, who doesn't love Froggy? Mother Goose, and The Masked Man. The series hasn't seen much action in a while, but apparently from some sources I have, it was going to be adapted into a TV series by Disney, but the author Chris Colfer opposed some of the creative changes that Disney was intending on making to the story, so he ended up turning it down like a champ, which I really respect him for that. So it's not happening, but he has hinted that some things are in the works. I can't tell you where, because it's a bit of a he said, she said situation. Many themes are as present as, like, courage, creativity, following your heart, doing the right thing. It's a very heartfelt story and very human, which really dives into the morals of literature and how various fairy tales have affected people's lives. It's very interesting and has its own appeal to it. And for that, I truly hope the Land of Stories lives on. So, in conclusion, Warriors, Wings of Fire, and Land of Stories are all book series that offer very unique perspectives and insights into our everyday life. Warriors presents honor, realism, and individualism. Wings of Fire tells us that you can make your own destiny, and that there are always peaceful ways to resolve conflict. In vast contrast to many modern ideas about that you must fight everything out. Land of Stories provides us with a classic take on various very older stories and teach us about imagination and creativity and how they can shape the world. You may see these stories as just relics of childhood or just silly book series, but I think these stories will survive. These are the future Chronicles of Narnia, the future Lord of the Rings. Years in the future, decades in the future, I feel like we're gonna be holding these to the same regard as we hold the Chronicles of Narnia. Or, Harry Potter. They have the potential to be these classics. They just need some time, some marketing, and a studio to believe in them. Not saying that it has to be a movie for it to be good, but sometimes something to survive, you need a very good film to do it. People in comments are gonna say, "Oh, you're sentimental. You're being an idiot about it. These are just silly books. Get over it." When it comes to the reverence I hold these books in, to quote C.S. Lewis, one of my favorite authors, and a big inspiration to me. Someday, you shall be old enough to start reading fairy tales again. That's all I have to say on the matter. Thank you very much for watching. This is Ignis Studios, signing out.